Mad scientists in horror movies come in various forms. However, the one thing they all have in common is their desire to change the world for the better. However, the lengths these crazed characters go often causes damage and conflict in order to reach their desired goal. They are intelligent, have drive, but also heapfuls of insanity that goes along with that, in turn creating some of the greatest moments in horror history. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scariest mad scientists in horror movies. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. Coming in at number 5, Crank, The City of Lost Children. The City of Lost Children is a 1995 science fantasy film directed by Marco Caro and Jean-Pierre Jeunet. The film tells the story of an old and decrepit Crank who has lost his capacity for dreaming and is attempting to fight death by stealing the dreams of children. Crank's cadre of cloned henchmen snatch 5-year-old Henry to subject him to horrific dream retrieval process. The boy's father, Juan, the hulking strongman of a traveling circus, and his precocious 9-year-old friend Miette join force to defeat Crank's minions and save Henry. What ensues is a bizarre movie with surreal moments, strange makeup, and even stranger set design. It's perhaps one of the strangest movies I've ever had the pleasure of coming across, with Daniel Emilfork showcasing an over-the-top performance that will linger with you for a long time. As it stands, the film currently holds a 79% approval rating and is a cult classic amongst horror movie lovers. The general consensus reads, I quote, "Not all of its many intriguing ideas are developed, but The City of Lost Children is an engrossing, disturbing, profoundly memorable experience. Crank looms large over the entire film, and watching him go down in flames is one of the most satisfying moments in horror history." Coming in at number 4, Seth Brundle, The Fly. The Fly is a 1986 American science fiction body horror film directed and co-written by David Cronenberg. Loosely based on George Langeland's 1957 short story of the same name, the film tells of an eccentric scientist who, after one of his experiments goes wrong, slowly turns into a fly hybrid creature. The Fly is one of Cronenberg's finest films, and a huge reason as to why Jeff Goldblum, the sexiest man in the world, is as successful as he is now. Not to mention his portrayal of Seth Brundle is perfect, as he encapsulates everything we want from a mad scientist. A scientist who believes his telepods would change the world for the better. However, he learns far too late how badly things have gone with his experiment. First, he truly believes that his teleportation is more successful than he initially thought, and that he would be changing the world for the better, like I said. However, throughout the movie his mental and physical state quickly deteriorates as he slowly transforms into a fly. Even after a handful of decades, this iconic horror movie still holds up and is still a wonderful piece of special effects magic. The film holds a 92% approval rating, with the general consensus reading, David Cronenberg combines his trademark affinity for gore and horror with strongly developed characters, making The Fly a surprisingly affecting tragedy. The quote, "Be afraid, be very afraid," was used as the film's marketing tagline and became so ingrained in popular culture that a large number of people who are familiar with the phrase are unaware that it originated in The Fly. Coming in at number 3, Joseph Heater, The Human Centipede First Sequence. The Human Centipede is a 2009 Dutch horror film directed and co-produced by Tom Six. The film tells the story of a German surgeon who kidnaps 3 tourists and joins them surgically, mouth to anus, forming a human centipede. According to Six, the concept for the film arose from a joke he made with friends about punishing a child abuser by stitching his mouth to an anus of a fat truck driver. Inspiration for the film also came from Nazi medical experiments carried out during World War II, such as the crimes of Joseph Mengele at the Auschwitz concentration camp. Now, the movie was polarizing amongst critics and viewers alike, as you would expect, with the movie receiving a 50% approval rating, with the general consensus reading, grotesque, visceral, and hard to swallow. This surgical horror doesn't quite earn its stripes because the gross outs overwhelm and devalue everything else. However, not everyone agreed with those sentiments, with Total film writer Jamie Russell giving the movie 4 stars out of 5, calling it shocking, funny, disturbing, a throwback to the glory days of Cronenberg. Despite receiving mixed reviews, the film did go on to win several awards in 2009 at various international horror film festivals. Now, the large majority of mad scientists in horror movies have a plausible explanation for the actions they take, and that the work they do will in turn make the world a better place. However, the same cannot be said about Joseph Heater, who stitches human beings together, even connecting their digestive tract. I don't see this improving the world anytime soon. I do love this film though. If you've watched the second or the third, this one is like an Oscar-winning movie. Honestly. Highly recommend. Coming in at 2, Henry Frankenstein. Frankenstein is a 1931 pre-code science fiction horror film directed by James Whale and adapted from a play by Peggy Webling, which in turn was based on Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein, or The Modern Prometheus. Frankenstein stars Colin Clive as Henry Frankenstein, an obsessed scientist who digs up corpses with his assistant in order to assemble a living being from dead body parts. The resulting creature, often known as Frankenstein's monster, is portrayed by Boris Karloff. Frankenstein begins with Edward Van Sloan stepping from behind a curtain to break the fourth wall and deliver a brief caution to the audience. I quote, "How do you do? Mr. Carl Lammel feels it would be a little unkind to present this picture without just a word of friendly warning. We're about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you, it may shock you, it might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to, well, we warned you." Now, a fun fact for you horror lovers, his name is Henry. Victor was his name in Mary Shelley's book. However, the black and white film features Colin Clive as Henry Frankenstein, a maddening character with wide-eyed intensity. The film is a slow build-up of suspense with a lasting legacy almost 100 years later. And finally, coming in at number 1, Dean Armitage, Get Out. Get Out is a 2017 American horror film written and directed by Jordan Peele in his directorial debut. The film follows Chris Washington, a young African-American man who uncovers a disturbing secret when he meets the family of his white girlfriend Rose Armitage. Now, Dean Armitage is the father of Rose, and he does a great job of disguising how evil he truly is for a large portion of the movie. Now, Dean and his wife Missy welcome Rose and Chris into their home with open arms. However, things become very weird very quickly, but Chris just sums this up to the fact that he feels out of place being the only black man in a very white community. However, there is far more going on than just that. Now, spoilers ahead for those who have yet to see Get Out. First of all, why have you not seen Get Out? Watch Get Out. Chris awakens strapped to a chair in the basement with a video presentation showing Rose's grandfather Roman, explaining that the family transplants their brains into other bodies, granting them preferred physical characteristics and a twisted form of immortality. Although the Armitages target mainly black people, it is revealed that Chris's body is only being used for sight. Get Out is masterfully paced and written and is perhaps one of the most effective horror films in years. The well flushed out characters truly see nothing wrong with what they are doing, and when Chris learns of what's going down and what the insane Dean has in store for him, it sends chills down your spine, making him one of the cruelest and most terrifying characters in horror fiction. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any mad scientists that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 scary subterranean SCP monsters. Charles Hurst said, lots of scary trains here. Does top 5 have something against trains? I don't have anything against trains. I actually love trains. It's my preferred style. It's my preferred it's my preferred way to ride. Actually, that's a lie, I like to Uber. Emil Guerra said, I see Lucy, I like videos. Simple man, simple needs. You're a smart man with very good needs. Will said, Lucy, you're my horror movie spirit animal. Respect. Well, thank you. I'm not in a horror movie, but if I were, you better all respect me. Lion White said, where is SCP-087? It's a staircase that goes miles underground in an unlit staircase with a spooky ghost face following behind you. I do know that one. It didn't quite fit with the list I was doing, but maybe part 2. Random Street Theater said, Lucy, stop drugging octopi. That video was iconic for my hair. We should all go back and watch it. For those who don't know, my hair looked like it was possessed by an octopus. It was quite traumatic for me. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later. Coming in at number 2, The Changeling, 1980. The Changeling is a 1980s Canadian supernatural psychological horror film directed by